Hello, friends. Elizabeth here on the Just Dandy podcast. Thank you for joining me today. We are talking about what are the benefits of rosemary. And speaking of remembrance and social ties, in our theme for this month, and social lighting with family ties. Well, what are the benefits of rosemary? Is so many and vast. I will do my best to tell you all the great things about it. Well, it is an antioxidant and it has anti-inflammatory compounds. It is also thought to help boost the immune system and improve blood circulation. Well, I know this for a fact that rosemary does increase and improve the blood circulation. It is also considered a cognitive stimulant and can help improve the memory performance and the quality of what you remember, boost alertness, grant intelligence, and focus. Well, this all makes sense because let me tell you and share with you history about rosemary. Now, I've told many times when I've taught workshops and different things to people, and they say, well, how do you remember all of the benefits and all that it can offer? This is my method I have practiced for years. Rosemary, since it enhances the memory, and it really does, and the history going there of it, this is the perfect herb for fall when we build the most memories all the way into the winter with our holidays of Thanksgiving and Christmas. Most things that are shared, most festivals and events take place during the fall months. So rosemary is perfect. So when you want to remember all of its benefits and all the happiness and everything that you remember, well, then it's real easy to connect that. Remembrance and rosemary. Speaking of remembrance, as I promised, the history. Now, in centuries gone by, for many, many centuries, kings and men of great that did much influence, that was very helpful and was great leadership within villages and communities and throughout their nations, would always be granted, or the people would create wreaths of rosemary. Because rosemary looks like a spruce, but the needles are not prickly and they adorn the entire stem, it's really easy to take sprigs of them and wove them into a wreath, just like you were making a grapevine wreath. Adorning them with ribbons and pieces of fabric, anything associated with that individual and their leadership. And what they would do is they would come together in ceremony for a burial, and they would place these rosemary wreaths all inside of the ship that was built. And they would build this boat or canoe and place the body of the warrior or the king, someone of greatness, a pope or anyone, and place them into this canoe. And it was given a special name during that time. They would lay their rosemary wreaths all about, and they would set it afloat. And when it would go out into the water after it gained a little distance from the seashore side, they would take a bow and arrow that was lit with fire, and they would set this boat aflame in order to cremate the body. And rosemary, having burned, the scent would carry throughout the villages and into the valley. And this would also be as a message of remembrance of the great one and all that they did for them, and also for those who may have been unable to attend the ceremony, to also honor the passing of this individual and to also embrace the memories thereof, because the rosemary would burn and be smelled for a long period of time, sometimes days. So when you're remembering people that you love and the great memories, think of it as rosemary and associate their name with it and adorn things with the rosemary for remembrance. Tie some photographs to it. That would be beautiful. You can winter rosemary over. You can actually bring it inside and use it throughout the season of winter and into spring. When spring comes, you can take her back outside. And during that time, you would still be able to use her But there are a few little rules you have to follow if you winter over rosemary. One, she can withstand very cold temperatures, but not freezing. So you need to keep her in a building or somewhere where she will not get wet and she will not reach freezing temperatures. And I have had great success with this. The second thing is consider south-facing light. She really truly likes the bright light. And if you don't have a south-facing window, then maybe an east or a west. North just doesn't yield that much during the fall and winter months. So you can wait until it's close to really cold weather before you bring her in. That way she's really only in for about 3 months or so, and then she can return back outside. But try to get her somewhere near a south-facing window. And then the third rule, which is most important, use your index finger to measure the depth in the dirt for wetness and dampness in the soil. By doing that, you assure that it is not still damp and wet within the pot, because it doesn't take a whole lot of water to keep rosemary vibrant and alive. But if the dirt is dry, then and only then add water. And do not overabundant of water, just a small amount, just a little bit of water. Rosemary really truly hates wet feet. You don't want her roots getting soaked. And the benefit of that is if you plant her in a clay pot, that will help pull away any extra water away from her roots and give her better comfort as well, and assurance that you're not overabundantly drowning her. And if she's sitting in a really hot light that might get a lot more direct sunlight, pull her away from that area to where she's getting the light, but the sun is not shining directly down on her. It will dry her out really, really quick. So how can we incorporate rosemary into our daily nutrition and diet? These are really easy. I use rosemary, a sprig of it, on my fish because I don't want the fishy smell and odor in the house. So if you do the same, you won't have to struggle with smelling fish all the evening long after having cooked fish. And you can do it on the grill, and it's excellent. The second benefit of that is it is an excellent meat tenderizer as well. So your tougher meats, such as like turkey and your big roast of pork, that is the best meats to use it with. You can use it with chicken and any meal. Add it to potatoes. Pick out some of these wonderful rosemary cornbread recipes. Absolutely delicious. And then you can add it to your soups as well. If you've broken off a sprig, whatever you didn't use, make sure to save it and let it dry on a paper towel. Once it's dried, add it to your spice container, and now you have ready, available, usable rosemary. And the last thing I don't want you to discount, if you wish to really truly enjoy her, try her as an herbal tea. I think you'll be impressed and greatly surprised how delicious rosemary tea is. And so it is super, super good. And no, it doesn't have a green taste. It just tastes really fresh, and it's just delicious, guys. That's the best way I know to describe it. When you are thinking about staying alert, enhancing your knowledge and remembrance of what you may have read or that you're studying, and to keep your focus, especially if you're setting goals and trying to reach them, and somehow enhance your memory, incorporate rosemary into your diet. Bring it in your home if you can. Rub the nettles very often and enjoy them. You can also purchase the essential oil of rosemary, and you can get that through Dandelion Soap Herb Shop. All the links to all the information I've shared with you, along with all of these ideas that I've given you, can be found in the link description box. It will take you there, and you can share it with a friend. I would really love that. Follow the podcast so that you get notification of each new podcast I put up. Share it with someone you think that would really truly enjoy this information. Have a family night with all of the kids, the husband, the grandparents, and put everybody together for great celebrations and family ties this fall. Now, I've enjoyed bringing this podcast to you. Be sure to follow for upcoming episodes and notification. Until the next Just Dandy podcast, this is Elizabeth. Bye, friends.